Dear students, in continuation of our mark scoring videos, today we are going to discuss 3 questions from gravitation. From this chapter, for this forthcoming exams, you are going to get 2 4 marks questions. That means this chapter carries 8 marks. So, with respect to exams, this chapter is very important. So, before I go into 3 questions, let me give some points related to gravitation. First of all, what is gravitation? Gravitation is an attractive force. So, this is an attractive force. Attractive force that works between any two masses in the universe. So, consider two masses of mass m1, another of mass m2. Then there will be some attractive force between these two masses. And this force is called gravitational force. In nature, there are 4 fundamental forces. Out of these 4 fundamental forces, gravitational force is the weakest force. This is the weakest force, right? The main difference between other forces and this force is the gravitational force is always an attractive force, whereas magnetic force or electric force can be repulsive also, right? So there was a story, we will find a story that Newton was sitting in the garden and an apple was falling on his head, that led him to gravitation. So whatever it may be. So since we are living on the earth, we feel the gravitational attraction. Whatever you drop on the earth, it goes towards the ground. So that is a gravitational attraction. There is a universal law of gravitation proposed by Newton, that is called Newton's universal law of gravitation. What does it say? According to Newton's universal law of gravitation, the force of attraction, that is the gravitational force between any two masses, is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the distance of separation. Inversely proportional to the square of the distance of separation. So if I remove this proportionality relationship, I can put a proportionality constant, and that is G. This capital G is known as gravitational constant, and this equation becomes G m1 m2 by d square. This negative sign here indicates that it is always an attractive force, right? The value of G is very small, so this is G is equal to 6.67 into 10 to the power of minus 11 Newton meter square per kilogram square. It's a very small value. What is the difference between small g and capital G? Small g is nothing but the acceleration of a freely falling object. So, small g we already discussed, small g is nothing but acceleration due to gravity. Now, what is capital G? Capital G is a constant coming in the universal law of gravitation, and whose value was calculated by a scientist called Cavendish. This gravitational constant is a universal constant. That means it won't change with the time, place or anything else. Whereas small g value changes. There is a relationship between small g and capital G that we will be using in the derivation of escape velocity and orbital velocity. That you should remember. The relationship between small g and capital G is given by small g is equal to capital G times m upon r square. This is very important. You are supposed to remember this. That we can derive also, but we are not going into those details. Is this clear? So, this is the relationship between small g and capital G. Small g value changes. Generally, we take small g as 9.8 meter per second square. It may not be same at all the places on the globe. It changes from one place to another place. Now, this is about Newton's universal law of gravitation. and the relationship between small g and capital G. Right. If something is going in a circular path, if something is moving in a circular path, then we come across two types of forces. One is called centripetal force, the other one is called centrifugal force. Why I am telling these two? Because we use centripetal force in the derivation of expression for orbital velocity. Suppose you are going in a circular orbit, in a circular path, there must be some force required to keep this object in circular path. The force which is required to rotate this on a circular path is called centripetal force. The centripetal force acts towards the center of the circle. So this is the center. It acts toward the center of the circle. And there is another fictitious force or a pseudo force that acts away from the center along the radius, and that force is called centrifugal force. Centrifugal force, and this is centripetal force. This is not a real force. So whatever the force it may be, the expression for this force is given by F is equal to mv square by r. Here m is the mass of this object. Suppose you take a stone of mass m, you tie one thread and you rotate it or whirl it in a circular path. That is the mass of the stone. Here v is the velocity. The direction of velocity will be along the tangent. So that is the velocity. Here r is the radius. So you should remember this formula to derive the expression for orbital velocity. So these things are very, very important. You are supposed to remember. So this is about gravitation, right? Gravitation is nothing but the attractive force exerted by any mass on any other mass. Any two masses will always attract each other. The force existing between these two masses is called gravitational attraction. We are attracted by the earth. We are also attracted by the moon. We are also attracted by the sun. But we are very nearer to the earth. Since we are on the ground, there will be more impact of the gravity due to the earth, right? Now, let us go to the first question. It's a very, very important since this question carries 4 marks. It's a short answer question. What is escape velocity? Obtain an expression for it. What do you mean by escape, right? So, we are on the earth. If I throw something, what happens? If I throw something upwards, it comes and falls back on the ground because of gravitational attraction. So, if I want to overcome this gravitational attraction, what must be the velocity of the object so that it overcomes the gravitational attraction and it never returns? That velocity or that speed is called escape velocity. So, literally you have to escape from gravitational field. So, field is a space concept. Field is the space concept. That means its effect is felt all over this space, all over this area. So, if I throw a stone such that it never returns, then that speed is called escape velocity. It's very simple. So, escape velocity in the exam you can write it straight away. That is the minimum velocity to be given to that is the minimum velocity that is to be given to an object so that it never returns or so that it escapes from the gravitational attraction. Very simple definition. The minimum velocity that is to be imparted to an object such that it never returns. Right. So, this is the earth. Consider there is a hill on the earth. So, I am throwing something. So, it follows parabolic path. We studied in projectile motion. It falls back on the ground. Suppose if I increase the speed, then it goes further and falls. If I increase further, it goes and falls. The range increases. If I increase the speed, it just goes around the earth. If I increase the speed further, so this is my first case. If I increase the speed further, then it goes into the space. It never returns. So this velocity is called escape velocity. And this velocity is called orbital velocity. What do you mean by orbital velocity? The velocity with which an object is to be thrown horizontally such that it goes in a circular orbit around the earth or around a planet. So this is called orbital velocity. And this is called escape velocity. In between escape and orbital velocity, if I give some value, let us say some value that is in between VE and VO. Let us say this velocity is V. This is less than VE but greater than VO. Then it orbits in elliptical orbit. That orbits in an elliptical orbit. So my intention is to derive an expression for escape velocity. Right. I think you understood the difference between escape velocity and orbital velocity. Orbital velocity is the velocity required such that object undergoes circular motion around the planet. Escape velocity is the velocity that is required for an object so that it never comes back to the earth. It goes away from the gravitational attraction. Right. Now let us derive. If you write the definition, you will get 1 mark. For derivation of the formula, you will get 3 marks. Right. So this is the earth of mass m. We are considering earth instead of saying a planet. You can say planet also. And its radius is r, capital R. There is some object of mass m. I am throwing it upwards. Where I am throwing it into infinity. Right. With what velocity? Escape velocity. The amount of work done by me in throwing it into infinity is given by W. W is equal to, you will get G M by R. This is the work done. You can write it directly. I have to derive that. So if you want, I can derive that also. The work done in sending an object of mass m into infinity from a distance r. R is the radius. That means it is on the ground. So this work is, so r to infinity, integration, no need to learn now. This is F into dr. This is the definition for work done. So you know F is equal to G M by r square dr. This is integration. You may not be knowing. You can write capital R. So this will become, so G M are constants, r to infinity. So this is dr by r square. The integration of 1 by r square is Gm. The integration of this is, so Gmm, this is minus 1 by r. You will be learning all these things in mathematics, calculus. So if you substitute, this is G upper limit minus lower limit, you have to substitute. So minus 1 by infinity, here r value is infinity, minus 1 by infinity. If you want, I can do once again. This is minus G M. This is 1 by infinity minus 1 by r. You know 1 by infinity is 0. So you will get this as simply G M by r. No need to learn this. Straight away, write directly in the exam. Right. So this is the expression for the work done in sending an object from the surface of the ground to infinity is W is equal to Gmm by R. The work done is converted into kinetic energy. You know the formula for the kinetic energy? Kinetic energy is half mv square. Here I am taking the speed as escape velocity. So this is equation number 1 and this is equation number 2. In the exam, draw the diagram, straight away write those two statements. And the work done is converted into kinetic energy. That means both are equal. So G capital M small m by R that is equal to half mv square. So mm gets cancelled. So you will get VE is equal to 2gm by r under root. So if you write this, you get 4 marks. Up to this, that is enough. Just now I told you there is a relationship between small g and capital G. G is equal to gm by r square. So I can write the value of gm. So gm is equal to gr square. I can substitute this in this formula. Then I will get escape velocity expression in terms of small g. Here we have the expression in terms of capital G. So this will become to capital Gm values small g times r square divided by r. So r gets cancelled. So another formula or another expression is V is equal to under root 2gr. So in the case of Earth, if you substitute the value of mass of the Earth, the radius of the Earth, the gravitational constant, then you will get the value of VE in the case of Earth is equal to 11.2 kilometer per second. If I want to throw this pen into infinity, I have to impart 11.2, minimum 11.2 kilometers per second, speed of 11.2 kilometer per second. That means in 1 second it has to travel around 12 kilometers. Then only it will go into space. Otherwise, it will come back and fall. Then who will give this much of speed? In general, we send rockets. We send satellites with the help of rockets. So rockets can impart this much speed. So the value of escape velocity does not depend on the mass of the object which is being thrown. So if you want to throw a rat into the space, if you want to throw an elephant into the space, for both of them, the value is 11.2 kilometer per second. So escape velocity is not going to be altered with the mass of the object. Is this clear? Right. So this is about escape velocity, very, very important. Write the definition and derive this part in 3 to 4 steps. You will get 4 marks. Is this clear? Right. I think it is clear. Now let us go to next question, the second question. What is orbital velocity? Obtain the expression for it. So just now I told you. So let us say this is the planet around which a satellite is revolving. What do you mean by a satellite? An object that goes around the planet is called as a satellite. Right. The radius of the planet is r and its mass is m. Some satellite is revolving with what speed? Orbital speed or orbital velocity. The definition of orbital velocity is the minimum velocity that is to be given to an object so that it undergoes circular motion around the planet or so that it revolves around the planet. So this is called orbital velocity, right? So it is at a height of h from the surface of the planet or from the earth. So it is undergoing circular motion, no? In order to keep something on the circular path, I should give centripetal force. So who is giving centripetal force? The minimum requirement for circular motion is centripetal force. Somebody has to give centripetal force. This force is given by gravitational force. The gravitational force existing between this object and the planet. So this object is of mass m and this object is of mass capital M. Here this is planet and this is a satellite. Now, what is the formula for centripetal force? Just now I wrote that centripetal force is given by mv square by r. M is mass of the satellite, v is the orbital velocity, r is the distance between this center and the center of the satellite. Now, what is the distance between this and this? That will come out to be r plus h. So, centripetal force is mvo square by r plus h. This is the expression for centripetal force. Now, By using Newton's universal law of gravitation, I can write F is equal to G m1 m2 by d square. Now, this is equal to capital G. M1 is mass of the planet, m2 is the mass of the satellite divided by square of the distance. Square of the distance is r plus h whole square. So, this and this gets cancelled, and even small m gets cancelled. So, you will get VO square is equal to Gm by simply r plus h. If you want VO is equal to under root Gm by r plus h. Even if you write up to this, you will get 4 mass. Right. The value of h will be very small when compared to the radius of the earth. The value of h will be very small when compared to the radius of the earth. So, h value is very less. So, in this case, h can be neglected. Neglected means nullify h value. Put h is equal to 0. Then VO is approximately equal to under root Gm by r. We know from another formula G is equal to Gm by r square. You can write Gm is equal to Gr square. This r square comes on this side. So, this is equal to under root small g times capital R square by r. 1r gets cancelled. So, the orbital velocity, the expression for orbital velocity in terms of small g will be simply VO is equal to under root Gr. In the case of Earth, it is around 7.92 kilometers per second, not hour, per second. So, you have to impart that much speed, initial speed, so that it can circulate around the Earth. Is this clear? Now. So, escape velocity is greater than the orbital velocity. I drew one diagram in the beginning. Escape velocity, the object goes in hyperbolic path into infinity. Right. So, this is the second question. It's a very important. You have to remember in circular motion the condition, the necessary and sufficient condition to make something undergo circular motion is centripetal force. This centripetal force is supplied by the gravitational force that exists between the satellite and the planet. If you know the formula, then you can derive, you can get 4 marks easily. No need to derive up to that, you can derive up to this, that is enough. This is the second important question. From this chapter, you will get 2 questions. And the third and last important question is, what do you mean by a geostationary satellite? Satellites are of 2 types. Mainly satellites are of 2 types. Suppose this is the Earth. So, one satellite goes around the poles, North Pole and South Pole. This is called polar satellite. Polar satellites are generally used for remote sensing purposes. Another satellite goes in this way. That is, it is parallel to the equator. You know, this is the equator. And this satellite, which goes in this elliptical path at a height of 36,000 kilometers. This will be at a less than 1,000 kilometers. This is far away. Since the distance is more, the time taken by this satellite to complete one revolution is 24 hours. For this, since the distance is very less, it is covering less distance, so its time period will be around 90 minutes only. This is very less. The satellite which goes around the Earth from west to east direction, at a height of 36,000 kilometers from the ground, and whose period of revolution is 24 hours, is called as a geostationary satellite. What is the meaning of geo? Geo means Earth. Stationary means at rest. For a person standing on the Earth, this satellite appears to be at rest. Why it appears to be rest? See, the Earth is spinning over about its own axis. In how much time? In how many hours of time? In 24 hours. And this satellite is covering, it is completing one revolution in how many hours of time? 24 hours. That means period of revolution is equal to period of rotation of the earth. So what does it mean? For this person, this satellite appears to be at rest. Suppose two vehicles are moving on the straight line path with the same speed. This is maintaining 60 and this is also maintaining 60 km per hour. So for this person looks at rest. Looks like as if he is at rest. Even for this person also. If we are moving with the same speed, we feel as if we are at rest. That is the reason why it is called geostationary satellite. I am not talking of polar satellite. If a satellite is placed at a distance of a height of 36,000 kilometers from the ground and it goes from west to east direction, parallel to the equator, with a period of revolution of 24 hours, then that satellite is called geostationary satellite because it appears to be at rest when it is seen from the earth. So if this is the earth, I can place 3 geostationary satellites. The whole is 360 degrees in the case of a circle. So they are 120 degrees apart from each other. Then what happens? So suppose at this place some cricket match is going on. So they will send signal to this satellite. This satellite will communicate with this and this satellite will communicate with this. Then this satellite will send signals to the ground stations. So this cricket match can be seen by the people on the other side of the earth at the same time. So this is the technological revolution, right? So what are the uses of geostationary satellites? That is an important part of the question. So for definition, you will get 1 mark. You have to write 3 uses, then you will get 3 marks. The first use is for communication. So especially geostationary satellites are used for communication purposes, for transmission of TV signals. Is this clear? Right, number 1. Number 2, it is used in weather forecasting. You can guess what will be the scenario after 15 days with respect to the atmospheric. So are you going to get cyclones? In how many hours that cyclone is crossing the ocean, right? So weather forecasting, you can study the upper layers of the atmosphere. You can study the upper layers of the atmosphere. You can detect the mineral deposits in the ground. Then you can go for the excavation. So mines can be detected. So there are many uses. There are many uses of geostationary satellites. At least you have to write 3. The main purpose is communication and weather forecasting. To study the upper layers of the atmosphere, you can study about the planets, comets, you can study about the stars. Is this clear? Right. You can also discover some mines so that you can go for the excavation. So there are many such usages of geostationary satellites. So these are the 3 important questions. In geostationary satellite, no derivation is there. So anybody can write. By writing some descriptive points, you will get 4 marks. So these are the 3 important questions. I hope you understood these 3 questions, and I hope you will get 8 marks in this part of the syllabus. Thank you.